Welcome to another edition of Sling Paint Gaming. This is Berto, aka Mr. Savage, and today we're going to be going over the Star Wars X-Wing miniatures game by Fantasy Flights. Now, this is the core set. Now, this has been out for a while, and so you're probably asking why we're going to review the core set now. Well, we've started playing this several months ago, and what we wanted to do was getting some tips, some tricks, some things that we learned over while playing, and some just. So we wanted to start from the ground up. We wanted to start with the core set, and we'll go through every expansion. And the key thing is it's the cards and the ships and all the different upgrades, and this is what makes this game. And not understanding what the core set has and what the core set brings as far as cards and ships, and then also all the expansion sets and all the different waves that come out, that actually helps you in order from as far as strategy and tips and what have you. And that's what we're going to do is we're going to be going through this. Not just showing you what comes in the box, but we're also going to talk about some of the pieces and cards and why certain things are important, why certain things are better than better on some ships than other ships, or whatever the case may be. So we're definitely going to be reviewing that today. So when you first open up the box, you get a lot of pieces and token. Now this image doesn't show you pretty much everything, right? But what I first wanted to do is there's other images I have here that actually kind of goes into detail as far as what you get. But you can see that you get dice, you got a bunch of tokens, you got these, looks like these little ruler things, which are basically move templates. You also have these dials right here, and then you have upgrade cards, and you have pilot cards, and then you actually have the ships here. You have damage cards, and then you also have this thing in the back that's really long, which is called a rangefinder. And basically what it is just it's for attacking. It tells you exactly where your range is when you're attacking. But what I wanted to do was start talking about the ships first. Now, when you first open a set, you're like, okay, well, I get 2 TIE fighters and only 1 X-Wing. Well, why is that? This is the great part about this game. The way they balanced out this game is all about points, okay? So when you're looking at when you're equipping, let's say, this X-Wing right here, and you're going to equip it with Luke Skywalker, this base template here on the bottom will say Luke Skywalker, and will have all of his information, okay? And that's your firing arc, and we're going to get into more detail about that a little bit later. But the bottom right-hand corner of this ship card, right, of this pilot card, is 28 points, okay? The TIE fighters have the same exact thing, and when we go through the Imperial pilot cards, you'll see that they have lower point values, okay? So you're like, well, why lower point values? It's still 2 ships versus 1. But when you look at the whole package here, okay, first you have this top number, which is the skill value, okay? It's the skill value of the pilot. Now, this is very, very important because this is where you have to figure out your strategy. Skill value does a couple things here. When you're first laying down your pieces to start the game, the lowest skill value goes first. You put the lowest skill value ships and you line them all up. And this is also good from a strategy because if you're a higher skill value, you can lay your ships last to figure out, okay, where the lower ships go down first on your opponent's side. Do you want to face them heads up? Do you want them, set on the other side of the map? Do you want him to go through the asteroids? This is a lot of things that you need to think about. Now, also the lower skill value. So it can go from 1 to 9. I think that's the skill value that's available. Ships that have a 1, okay, will actually move first. So they do their maneuvers first, and they do their actions first, okay? Now you're like, well, isn't that more important? Shouldn't you? Yes and no. If you have a skill value of 8 and you move last, you can actually set yourself up either to be in the attack range, or you can move yourself out of the way if you have certain actions like barrel roll or boost or what have you. This helps you out, okay? And then when you're attacking, it goes the other way around. The ships with the pilots with the highest skill value attack first. So high skill value actually moves last, right? But attacks first. So it's different. So this is where a lot of the strategy comes into play, and this is why the point system actually really makes a difference. The other values that you see here, you see the red, it says 3, which basically is your attack, okay? How many dice you're rolling, basically. The green is your defensive dice. It's called agility, all right? So how many defensive dice you're going to be rolling. The yellow number is actually your hull value. So how many hits can your hull take? So in this case, it says 3. The blue value is your shields, okay? So in this case, you have 2 shields and 3 hull. We're like, well, isn't that just should have like 5 hull? Well, no, because there's certain upgrades that allow you to regenerate your shields. So when you take hits, it takes hits on the shields and not on the hull. Okay, a critical hit or a regular hit can go against your shields, and it just takes a shield token away. If you had a critical hit against your hull, all right, it might prevent you from doing some certain maneuvers or actions, or it might even tell you, like this one damage card, if you get a critical hit, that tells you it's 2 damage. So you could take twice as hit, you could almost be destroyed. So shields is very important. And when we get into the Imperial side of the house, when you look at the TIE fighters don't have any shields. They got 3 hull value, but they don't have any shields. So you see why there's 2 TIE fighters and only 1 X-Wing when you first get this core set. The other thing is, like, you'll see these different things that says there's different abilities. All unique pilots will have this little icon right next to it right here. Any upgrade card or pilot card that has a unique, like the little dot symbol, it means it's a unique. It means you cannot have more than 1 when you're playing the game. All right, but now if you don't have it unique, it means you can have, let's say, if you're doing a TIE fighter that's a rookie academy pilot, right, which is just the lowest skill value TIE fighter, you can have almost like 7 or 8 different TIE fighters on the board at once. Yeah, exactly. So you can create a whole swarm. But the other opponent might only have like 3 different ships, but those 3 ships might have like a whole bunch of upgrades. They might have a stronger point system. They might have more shields. So that's where I really like this game, because it's very balanced. All right, so that's the pilot ability. And in this case, like I said, I'll go over it later what the actual pilot abilities for each card is in the core set. So down here, what you have right here is called your actions. Okay, after you perform a maneuver, right? If you go 3 forward or 2 right, 2 bank to the right, or whatever the case may be, if it's not a red maneuver, or if you're not stressed, you can perform an action. Every ship has different actions. Okay, some might have similar actions, same actions, or not, or different altogether. In this case, this is called a focus action, which is this focus action is tied to your attack dice and your defensive dice. When you look at those little red die and green dice, you're going to see those eyeballs on it. When you play a focus here, and you have a focus token as your action, when you're attacking, right, you can flip all your focus results on your attack dice. Whenever you roll your dice, you can flip them all to hits. For defense, right, if you didn't use it for attacking, for defense, you can flip all your focus to evades, right? So this actually helps you out. In this case right here, the action is also another target lock, which I'll get into a little bit later. Down here on the bottom here is your upgrades. This is what you're allowed to equip your ship with. All right, so Luke Skywalker has these 3 upgrades. Has an elite upgrade, has a torpedoes upgrade, and also has an astromech. Astromech, yep, you know it, R2D2. Or you can have R2F2, or whatever all the different astromech droids that you have out there. The core set does come with R2D2 and R2F2, which we'll show you in a little bit. So these astromechs upgrades and this value right here, the skill the point value for this particular card and pilot, right, equals up to whatever the points it is, and then the same thing happens on the Imperial side, which we'll get into. But the cool part about this, it's very balanced. So you can have one Luke Skywalker decked out to the hill versus 2 TIE fighters, right? Let's say even they're having the unique pilots for the TIE fighters, maybe a Mauler Mythal or a Night Beast, right? And you can have them heads up, and it'll be an even match. You're like, well, it's 2 ships versus 1. But no, but you'll see when you're playing it, it's actually pretty even. And each ship has different maneuvers, so it even makes it more even complicated when you have maneuvers. Like, not all ships have, going straight 1 forward. Some ships might have only going 2 straight forward. Some ships might not have a hard right 1, right? They only might have a soft bank 1. So this is where the TIE fighters are very maneuverable, and the X-Wing is not. So you'll see the maneuvers. So this is where it's like kind of like. It's like modern day, jets when you're fighting jets. Like you have the MiG, which was very maneuverable, and you have like an F-14 Tomcat that was not maneuverable. So you had to play to your strengths and weaknesses. And this is the same thing applies in this game, and the balance is very good. So when you open up the box and you lay it out all on the table, this is what you get. You get a lot of stuff here. So where do we begin? So this is the box when you open it up. On the top here, these icons right here are your actually target locks, okay? And I'm not going to get into the whole detail of target locks, but target locks is one of the actions, like Luke Skywalker has as far as his actions. Pretty much all the X-Wings have it. Target locks allows you to, mostly you can either do two things. You can use your secondary weapon if it requires using a target lock, or you can actually re-roll your attack dice, the ones you don't like. So acquiring a target lock allows you to re-roll dice. So this is, that's a huge bonus. You can re-roll dice that you don't like as far as your attack. Now, it doesn't do for defense, just for attacking. These things right here are your bases. Each one of these match up to a corresponding pilot card. So if you're playing Luke Skywalker pilot card for your X-Wing, you're going to find a Luke Skywalker base, right? And this goes on the bottom of the actual ship itself. And each thing has a firing arc. So you see that green and you see that red, right? That's your firing arc. That's where your enemy ship or your opponent's ship needs to be in order to basically attack them. And then you can also see, just like on the card, you'll see the skill value, the attack value, agility, hull, and shields value on those little bases as well. Also, we'll show you what actions you can do on the bases as well. So those bases are pretty much, it's the same information that's on the card, but it's on the field. And so your opponent can see what he's going up against and how he can maneuver around and try to figure out and to get you. These other icons right here. Okay, these are your identifier icons. So if you're playing, let's say you're not doing Luke Skywalker, and let's say you have a couple X-Wings, right, and you're using the rookie pilots, well, you need a way to identify them. These are identifier markers. You get 3. 2 goes on the base itself, and 1 goes on top of the card that you're playing with. So when you're doing damages and taking hits, or if you have special abilities for different rookie pilot ships, or whatever the case would be, you can identify, and your opponent can identify which ship is which when you're running the same pilot. You have asteroids, and you have a whole bunch of other tokens up here. Asteroids. You have evade tokens, which are right here. You have critical hit tokens. And you have also some mission-based tokens over here. Here's your shields tokens. Here's your focus tokens. And here is your stress tokens. Now, okay, what's a stress token? So a stress token is when you're performing, let's say, here's your dials, right? When you're in the planning phase, there's 4 phases in the game. There's a planning, activation, combat, and end phase. In the planning phase, you're using these dials to figure out what maneuver you're going to do. There's green maneuvers, white maneuvers, and red maneuvers. Green maneuvers basically remove a stress. White maneuvers are just neutral, but you can still do maneuver. Red maneuvers is what causes a stress. In other words, it's stress on the ship. Let's say if you're doing on an X-Wing, if you're doing a hard bank turn. Sometimes because the X-Wings are big and bulky, right, it's hard to do that maneuver, so it stresses out the ship. Now, with a stress token, as soon as you do a red maneuver, you receive a stress token, and then you cannot do an action. Okay, so remember those actions about focus actions and target lock actions, and on the TIE fighters, they have a bunch of different. They have a barrel roll action. You can't do those actions if you're stressed, and the only way to remove a stress token is by doing a green maneuver. See how it all works? All right, this big thing, like I said before, is the rangefinder, range 1, 2, and 3. Why is there different ranges? Very simple. Range 2 is your neutral range. All right, you get no bonus either way. Range 1, if you're attacking in range 1, guess what? You get an extra dice. If you're attacking in range 3, guess what? The defender gets an extra dice. They get an extra green dice. So if their attack dice, let's say Luke Skywalker was 3 attack dice, and he was in range 1, he gets a 4th attack dice, and you can roll 4 attack dice. If the defender was in range 3 and he had 2 agility, the green number, right, he can roll an extra dice. So it can be 3 agility. So that's how that works. These right here are your damage cards, and you can see there's some text on them. When it's a regular hit, they're faced down the other way, and basically it's just a hit. But when they're taking a critical hit, you actually turn it face up and you read what it says. Some critical hits are nastier than others, and that's why it's a chance thing with critical hits. These are your upgrade cards. In this case, it's showing R2-D2, which we'll get into. I'll show you all the upgrade cards that come with the core set in a little bit. And these are your pilot cards. All right, so let's get into the pilot cards for the Rebel side. So when you open up this box, you get 4 pilot cards for your X-Wing. And this is the cool part. So you can configure your ship in any way you want to see fit for this. So you get 4 cards. You get Luke Skywalker. Oh, you know Luke. You get Biggs Darklighter. You get a Red Squadron pilot and a rookie pilot. Now, both Luke and Biggs are unique, so you can only use one. So let's say if you buy an expansion pack down the road, right, another X-Wing, you can't use 2 Luke Skywalkers. You can only use one. But you can have more than one Red Squadron pilot or a rookie pilot. Very simple. So, and if you look at the different points, you could see that they're all a little bit different. So Luke Skywalker's got a skill value of 8. Again, so he probably moves last and attacks first. Biggs is in the middle, okay? So depending on what your opponent's ships are and your other ships, he might go first or move first or move last. Who knows? We'll see. It's somewhere in the middle. Red Squadron pilot, again, somewhere in the middle. And rookie pilot's toward the lowest. So he'll probably definitely move first and attack last. Now, each of those X-Wings are outfitted with the same markings here. They got 3 attack, 2 agility, 3 hull, 2 shields. You can see that right across the board. They also have all the same actions. Okay, both focus action and a target lock action. Now, the upgrades down here, you can see that they pretty much have all the same upgrades. They have an astromech upgrade and a torpedoes upgrade. But Luke Skywalker has an elite upgrade. Okay, and we'll get to that when we get to the elite cards. You can see that. Both Luke Skywalker, all unique pilots will have some kind of special ability. And the ability is right here. So in this case, Luke Skywalker's got, when defending, you may change one of your focus results to an evade result. So this is great for defense. Okay? So let's say if you use a focus token, right, and he's attacking first, right? If he's attacking first and you spent your focus token because you wanted to flip some focus dice that were on attack dice to hits, and so you spent your focus tokens, and now all of a sudden people are shooting at you, and you don't have your focus to defend. And let's say you're rolling your dice and you get 2 evades and one focus result on your defense dice. Well, because of Luke Skywalker's ability, you can actually change that to an evade hit. That's pretty cool. And it's automatic. You don't have to do anything. You just get that. Same thing with Biggs. Biggs gets an ability. It's called Other Friendly Ships at Range 1 cannot be targeted by attacks if their attacker could target you instead. That's pretty cool. And that's basically like drawing the fire. All right, so if other friendly ships are at range 1, right, anybody else is trying to attack them, right, can't. They have to attack you instead. Okay? Pretty wild. If you look at the now, both Red Squadron pilot and rookie pilot, they don't come with a special ability. They just kind of talked about different things of what a Red Squadron pilot is and what a rookie pilot is. And if you look at the points, see how Luke Skywalker's 28 and Biggs is 25, Red Squadron 23, rookie 21. See the difference? And then this is where how all the abilities come into place. And so you're like, well, I'm looking at the Red Squadron and the rookie pilot. They're almost identical. Well, they're not identical. That's why the points are different, because of the skill value. Again, that skill value helps in figuring out who's moving and who's attacking when. So if you want a little bit ability of attacking, not last, right, you might want to go with the Red Squadron pilot. If you don't really care, you want to move first and attack last, and you go with your rookie pilot. Now the cool part is when you look at the next slides here of the Imperial side, the Imperial side has 5 cards in the core set. And you can see very similarity, just like the Red Squadron pilot and the rookie pilot, the TIE fighters have the same exact thing. They have the Obsidian Squadron pilot and the Academy pilot. These are not unique, so therefore you can have multiple of them. And in the deck, you actually get 2 of them because you already have 2 TIE fighters, so you can make both TIE fighters Obsidian Squadron pilots or Academy pilots. The cool part is the TIE fighters, and this is where it gets really interesting, you can have 3, it comes with 3 unique. So you can pick, if you want to play in one game just using the core set, you can pick 2 of them. So you can either pick Mauler Mythal, Dark Curse, or Night Beast. Now, all the TIE fighters have the same attack value. They have 2 attack, 3 agility, 3 hull, but look at this, no shields. Now, okay, well, is that a good thing or a bad thing? That all depends. I mean, you can have quantity over quality, right? I mean, or you can have quality over quantity. It all depends on how you play and what your strategy is. So if you're playing the Imperial, right, and you have 2 TIE fighters versus 1 X-Wing, all right, so technically speaking, you have a 6 hull value together, right? Because you have 2 TIE fighters, so that's 6. If you look at the X-Wing, X-Wing had 2 shields and 3 hulls, so that's 5. So technically speaking, you have 1 more damage that you can do on the TIE fighter. But if you outfit an X-Wing with an R2 unit, you can actually upgrade your shields every time you do a green maneuver. See how that works? So there's pros and cons. That's why I really like this game, because of the balance of the point system. But let's get into the cards here. So Molar Mythal. So Molar Mythal, skill value 7. So when attacking at range 1, he rolls 1 additional attack dice. Whoa. Now that's pretty cool. Because if you think about it, he only gets 2 attack dice when he attacks. But if he's in range 1, he already gets the attack bonus, which is 3 dice, on top of this ability, which gets a 4th dice. So you're actually sending 4 dice when you attack. Now, every TIE fighter has these 3 actions, has a focus action, and these 2 new actions, which you didn't see before on the X-Wing. This is a barrel roll action, which is basically taking... whatever maneuver you do, let's say if you go 2 forward, 3 straight, or 3 banked right, or 3 soft bank, whatever the case may be, after you perform your maneuver, you can do a barrel roll. Basically, you take the 1 straight maneuver, and you can either move it to the left or move it to the right. You put it right next to the left side of your base on your thing, and you can either move your fighter to the left, or you can do the same thing to the right side. That's great if you want to get in and out of firing arcs, or if you need to get into range. Let's say you did a maneuver, but the X-Wing for some reason maneuvered out of your way. You can actually maneuver into your firing arc. So the barrel roll is pretty cool. But now when you do a barrel roll, you give up these 2 other options. You can't do a focus, or you can't do an evade. So that's the cool part about actions. You can only get 1 action per turn, per round. And so if you do a barrel roll, you don't get a focus action or an evade action. So this is an evade action. It is an evade token, and you basically cancel out one of the hits when you're getting attacked. So in defense, let's say the guy, an X-Wing's rolling 3 attack dice, and he rolls 3 hits, right? You roll your 3 defensive dice, because you have 3 agility. You have 3 defensive dice, and you roll two evades and 1 blank. Well, because if you had that evade token as an action, well, now you just made it 3 evades, so you evade the hit. That's what that token is. Molar Mythal does get an elite upgrade, so you can have 1 elite card. But if you look at all the other TIE fighters, they don't have any upgrades whatsoever. That's interesting. So the other thing is the point values, 17, 16, 15, 13, 12. That's definitely to look at. Dark Curse has a great ability. When defending, ships attacking you cannot spend focus tokens or re-roll attack dice. So if X-Wing is trying to do a focus action, or if they do a target lock action, which basically allows you to use a secondary weapon or re-roll your attack dice, you can't do it on Dark Curse. Isn't that awesome? So Dark Curse has got this great ability. Night Beast, I just love that name, Night Beast. After executing a green maneuver, you may perform a free focus action. So not only do you get your regular action that you normally get, you get an extra free focus action. That's pretty cool. Just like the rookie Red Squadron pilot and the rookie pilot, you don't get any abilities with the Obsidian Squadron pilot or the Academy pilot, but they have the same actions and what have you. All right, so moving along. This is where your upgrade cards. So this is what comes in the core set. You get 2 astromech upgrades, you get an elite talents upgrade, and you get one secondary weapons upgrade. Now, most of this is for actually for the X-Wing, because the X-Wing you can load up with a bunch of abilities here. Only Molar Mythal is allowed to take 1 elite talent, so he can either choose marksmanship or determination. And that's the great thing is about this is, like, you see the X-Wing on the marksmanship, but it doesn't just have to be used for the X-Wing fighter. It can be used also for the TIE fighter for Molar Mythal, because Molar Mythal has that elite upgrade. All right, you don't have to use determination because it's got Darth Vader, and you can also use this determination on the X-Wing for Luke Skywalker because he has the elite upgrade. So it's the great part, unless it specifies for Rebel or for Imperial, you can use whatever cards you want as long as the icons or the upgrade icons on the bottom match up to the icons on these upgrade cards. So let's get into it. Astromech, that's the R2 units and what have you. So there's 2 astromechs that come in the core set. You get an R2-D2, which basically says after executing a green maneuver, you may recover 1 shield up to your shield value. So basically, this is where that 1 X-Wing can really shine, is if you have an R2-D2, you can rejuvenate your shields every time you do a green maneuver. So if you take 2 hits, right? And you do a green maneuver. You lose 2 shields in the previous turn, and you do a green maneuver next turn. Well, one of your shields just came back, and if you do a green maneuver again, another shield came back. So all your shields come back. R2 F2. Now this is an action. Okay, so just when you call out your action for the X-wing, you can call out R2 F2's action. So you can either do a focus action or a target lock action on the X-wing. Or you can choose, if you have the R2 F2, you can choose this action, which is basically increase your agility value by 1 until the end of this game round. So that basically gives you an extra defensive dice. All right, so you can either choose one or the other. For elite talents, you have determination and marksmanship. So determination, when you are dealt a face-up damage card, which is a critical hit, with the pilot trait. Now, I think there's pilot, ship, hull, and I think those are the values that you get, the different types of critical hits. If you get a pilot critical hit, and let's say pilot run on the damage card, on a critical hit damage card, discard it immediately without resolving its effect. Isn't that great? So any pilot critical hit, you don't have to resolve it. There's no damage to you. So that's great, and you can play that both Rebel or Imperial. Marksmanship. So this is another action. Just like you would call out an action for target locks or focus, or barrel roll, whatever, you can call this as an action if you have this elite card. It says, when attacking this round, you may change one of your focus results to a critical result or critical hit result, and all of your other focus results to basically a hit result. So what this is actually doing is, it's like taking a focus token, right? It's like taking a focus token as your action. But in this case, normal focus tokens will basically turn all of your focus results on attack dice to just hits. This allows you to take it as one of your critical hits. So if you know that you're going to send a lot of dice at somebody's way, and instead of spending a focus token, you might want to just do this marksmanship, because you're actually going to throw some critical hits their way as well, at least one critical hit away. Secondary weapons, so all of the X-Wing pilot cards are allowed to take a secondary weapon. In this case, you can take proton torpedoes. So now this requires a target lock. So the whole target lock icon, remember, if you take the action of a target lock and you target lock on another enemy ship, in order to do the proton torpedoes, you have to spend your target lock and discard this card to perform this attack. So this replaces your normal primary weapons attack. When you're doing an attack, and you're basically doing the proton torpedoes. Now, the cool part is, this is 4 attack dice that you're throwing. Every secondary weapon will have a number up here and also have the range. So you can only do this weapon with between 2 to 3, and you can send 4 attack dice. The cool part is you may change one of your focus results on attack dice to a critical hit. So proton torpedoes are nasty if they go through, because A, you're sending 4 dice through. And if you remember, right, both X-Wing, to the TIE Fighter actually has where you're rolling 3 agility dice. So right now it's already up one dice extra. All right, so it's between range 2 to 3, and you get 4 dice, and you can also change one of your focus results to a critical. That's crucial. So that's pretty much all the upgrade cards that you get with the core set. Now, when you have expansion card sets, when you get expansion sets like other different ships, you will get a lot more upgrade cards, a lot of different ones, and they will basically be fitted for the ship that you're buying. Okay, so when you buy a Y-wing, you're gonna get a lot of like bombs and what have you, or if you're getting like a TIE bomber, you're gonna get bombs, different things. If you buy other ships, you might have a lot of ion turrets or what have you. So there are a whole bunch of different upgrade cards, but they're all outfitted with this little symbol. As long as they match up to the symbol that's on the bottom of the pilot card, you're good. So that's pretty much the core set. That's everything that's in there. I hope you guys like this video. Thank you for your time. Like I said, if you have any questions, definitely ask them below in the comments. Make sure you like our video, subscribe to our channel so we can do more of these cool videos, and like us on Facebook, Facebook/SlingPaint, or follow us on Twitter, which is Twitter/SlingPaint. Also, know that we're going to be coming out with a whole bunch of tips and strategies and a bunch of different things for all the Star Wars X-Wing core set. We're actually going to be probably talking to a lot of the people that won the big tournaments for this, and trying to get their tips and tricks, and try to give you guys the edge what you need to do in order to play this game. Again, thank you for your time.